I'm going to make a lamb stew today, and I'm doing 6 packages of this lamb shoulder chops. I'm going to start to brown the chops. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to it while it browns so it doesn't stick. While it starts cooking, I'm going to also add some salt and pepper for flavoring. And then I'm just going to start cooking it down until all the sides are golden brown. And after that, then I'll add 2 chopped yellow onions. While the meat is cooking, and I cook it down quite a bit, I'm chopping up 2 kind of large white onions. And then after the meat gets really brown and cooked real good, then I'll add the onions to the meat. Added all my chopped onions, and I'll just keep kind of tossing it around until all the onions get really sauteed and almost brown. So I want to cook that down quite a bit. And you can do the same starting mixture if you want to do a beef stew. You just get stewed meat. You do the same thing. Brown your meat, then add your onions, and saute it till it's pretty cooked down. I'll show that to you later. And then I start adding my crushed tomatoes. I don't put a lot in. Today I'm making like a cabbage stew. Even in this mixture, you can put chunks of potato and carrots and make it like that. Or the last time I did, I just threw, after it was all done, right before, the meat has to be kind of shredded and pulled off so it's tender. And then I just added fresh spinach to it, tossed it around. Dad liked it with spinach, but this time I'm doing it with cabbage. See how much the onions have cooked down with the meat. Probably maybe 20 minutes with the, if you're going to make it with stew meat, they're littler chunks, so it might not take as long. So I've cooked it down pretty good. You can see the onions, how dark they are. And now I'm going to add my crushed tomatoes and some beef broth and my garlic. So I'm going to start with the tomato. I kind of like it, not a lot of broth with the stew. It kind of tastes better. So I'm just mixing that around. And I'm going to add some beef broth right now. I'm not going to add the whole can yet. I'm just doing, not even half right now. If I feel like it's too watery or I want it more, then I'll add more of the beef broth. And then now I'm going to add the garlic. And then I'll mix that around. And I'm going to add parsley to this, and more salt and pepper to taste, and see how it tastes. And that's about it for right now. I might add some dry basil, but let me just wait and see. I did add a little basil and a little bit more salt. It needed it. But I don't know. I think I'm going to add a little bit more beef broth just to make it a little bit more watery. So that's not I didn't add, maybe not quite a half a can. Sometimes people like a lot of broth in their stew, so it doesn't really matter. I kind of like it thicker. And now I'm going to put the lid on it, and now it has to simmer until your meat is done, like it pulls off the bone kind of a thing, like, you know. So so I'll let you know how long it took mine to cook, and that's about it. And then, like I said, after it is all cooked, the meat is ready, that's when I'll cut up my cabbage, kind of wedge it, stick it in there until the cabbage is steamed and soft. After the meat is cooked, that's when you add the cabbage, or if you want the potatoes and carrots. And then you cook it until those are tender. And then serve it with garlic bread, and that's it. When I tasted it, I thought I still could taste too much of the tomato. So I'm just sprinkling, you don't have to do it, I like it, just a little bit of sugar, not much, just like you would add salt. And then stir it around, and then I'm going to cover it and let it simmer for, oh gosh, maybe an hour or so, but I'll let you know. You can kind of tell when the meat is done, try it. And like I says, I might add more of the beef broth, I'm not sure. So I'll let you know. That's kind of how it looks. The meat is not quite done yet. I keep like trying to pull the meat apart, but it's still, gosh, not tender enough. I had put a little bit more of the beef broth in, so I think I'm going to add the rest of it. And then I'll have a little bit more juice in the pan. You can add more, or you don't have to, but I figure I like to make this the day before, because lamb is very greasy. So like when you keep it, you put it in the refrigerator overnight, there'll be a big chunk of grease on top from the lamb, since lamb is really greasy. And then I just take that, just take that off tomorrow, and then it won't be greasy. See how much there's grease? There's grease right here. But I can't do that till it cools off. So usually I kind of make this the day before, so I can just scrape all the fat off of the top. So actually I used a whole can of beef broth for this. There's the beef broth. And I'm going to let it cook a little bit more. Put with the lid. It's already been cooking over an hour. So I'm going to cook it more until the meat kind of falls off the bone. My meat is nice and tender. See how much juice it soaked up. It's a little bit, I think I want to add a little bit more beef broth to it, so I have a little bit more juice to work with. So I've already done one whole can of beef broth. I'm adding, let me see, that's about a fourth of a can right now. Because if I don't add it tomorrow when you're skimming that grease off of the top, it's not going to be as watery. You can always add beef broth the next day if you want more broth. So I'm probably going to add like a half a can more. So I did 1.5 cans of beef broth. I'm going to let this come to a boil, and then I'm going to add the cabbage. So see how the bones are coming off? And you can see the grease that's in there. I just opened the lid, and I'm kind of breaking apart the cabbage. And if you use spinach, just throw the fresh spinach in the pan. It'll melt down. Or at this point, you can put your potatoes or carrots. I feel like I want to add actually some more beef broth. I've already done 1.5 cans. I think I'm going to add a little bit more because I want some more juice is what I want. So you can always add it later. See how it's kind of like thick down here like this? I need more juice in the pan. So I'm almost adding 2 cans at this point. And I think I'm going to do it. So, and like I says, tomorrow if you feel like it's too thick, add a little bit more beef broth. The cabbage is done. It'll get more wilted as, you know, I'm going to shut it off and I'll still leave the lid on it. So that's kind of how it looks. So that is your lamb stew with cabbage. And like I said, you could do the same recipe for beef stew. You can put spinach in it, potatoes, carrots, whatever your kids like. And that's about it. So if you don't serve it till the next day, skim off all the fat that's on top because when it gets cold, the fat will come to the top. And the meat's very tender, and the cabbage is really good with it. So that's it. Enjoy.